Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Friday Nights on the Bayou. I'm your host, Chachere, joined here most of the time, as always, Jace LeJeune. Jace actually missed the last show because, he's just really busy with the bowl game coming up. And I always tell him that if you cannot make the show, it's all right. I could always go solo and I'll bring somebody else on. Yesterday, we had on Mike Coppage of the Acadian Advocate and the Daily Iberian, somebody that me and Jace are pretty close to, somebody that we trust and is
Yeah.
a mentor to us. He's somebody that's been here in the business for a very long time. And he discussed a lot of the stuff that's going on in the Lafayette area, including what's going on with the LCA job as that job opened up after they let go Zach Lockhart, and also some other, some other storylines that are going on in Lafayette, including some big time matchups. So make sure to go check that out. I'll leave a link in the description so you can go check out that previous episode. But Jace, welcome back, and excited for week 5.
Yeah, Grant, I really am. And you just talked about Mike Coppage. What a time you decided to bring him on with the breaking news of the LCA. So I mean that was definitely unexpected. We weren't expecting any coaching changes, especially from a program that big this early on. And it was crazy because I know Coach Lockhart and LCA they went to our media day before the season, and I know Coach Lockhart was so excited about the season coming up and the guys they brought, they were excited to have them. So it was very strange, unusual, with the circumstances and everything. But I'm gonna be interested to follow the situation. I know they announced two co-head coaches with the OC and the DC. So I mean, it's happened before, and it's going to be interesting to see how those two work together and share those head coaching duties. So that's going to be very interesting to follow the rest of the year at LCA.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a very shocking news story. Just because can't remember. Usually in high school these type of decisions are made after the season was over. But from what I got from a couple of sources around the situation, is that they're
Hmm.
trying to make this move as quickly as possible because it was
Yeah.
really starting to boil over. So they really had to make this decision quickly, and that's
Hmm.
why they made the decision that they made. And it came down to really just one coach getting fired,
Yeah.
a very popular member of that staff to get let go, and that was when the school was like, okay, something we gotta make a decision here because
Hmm.
like it's just bad. It's there's a lot of bad blood going in the program right now. You don't want that in any type of program, especially one that LCA
Right.
has. But Jace, let's move into that area actually.
Yeah. Right.
There's a big game between Barbe and Southside.
Hmm.
Barbe's coming off a huge win over Karen. I know Karen is struggling, but
Right.
Barbe's is in the conversation for the first time in a while.
Hmm.
Southside, of course, 2-1, and they seem to be getting used to a new staff with Just Curtis. Who do you like in this matchup?
Yeah, this is a really big opportunity. We've seen a lot of teams, Grant, that like they're on the cusp of getting talked about, and they just need a big win to really show it. Now, this is really the opportunity for Barb to really prove that. I know they beat Karen Crow, but I know that Karen Crow's been struggling this year. But this is a big opportunity for Barb because Southside, there's a lot of especially positive momentum going into it. Jess Curse, and then they picked up a big win a couple weeks ago against Madison Prep, and there's a lot of hype around the Southside program because we always knew about what the Southside program can be. It's that program that's on the verge of becoming that next program, right? That can break through early, like an LCA broke out early, like a Lakeshore broke out early, like teams like that broke out early on, but. Barb, it's good to hear Barb, back in the conversation, because we know all those years with Coach Chachere, right? Just being in the conversation as far as a deep playoff run. I mean, a couple years ago they were in the Superdome, so like this is a team that in the Lake Charles area that you expect to really hold the flag. I mean, you already know Grant. about how successful they are on the baseball side of things. So on the
Mhm.
football side of things, this is an opportunity for them to, hey, like carry that flag for Lake Charles. I mean, we talked a whole lot this year, right, about the Lafayette area, especially Northeast Louisiana for sure, of being like carrying the mail for Louisiana. We talk about the Baton Rouge teams, obviously, New Orleans with the Catholic League carrying the torch too. But for the Lake Charles area, this is really big for them, in my opinion, Grant, to go and get a win over Southside for like a flagship school like Barbe. So this is a big, huge opportunity for Barbe to really show how good they can be based off the really good start to the season they've had this year.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, this is a big game for both programs. It's
Yeah.
a going to be a season-defining win for both programs. As
Yep.
you know, if you win this game, you're a lot better position in terms of the district because
Hmm.
Carrico. It's not the same as it was last year. Barb already beat Karen Crow. I mean,
Right.
now they got to deal with Sam Houston. Sam Houston's really a really good team once
Hmm.
again.
Yep.
But then if you could get past Sam Houston and Acadiana, you're basically in the driver's seat to win the district. So this
Yep.
is a big game for both programs to start on the right foot to be in that conversation for a district title.
Yep.
Next game I want to cover is Jules
Do you have
Sumner.
a winner for that, Grant?
Oh, winner! I'm probably going to pick Southside.
I am too.
I'm probably going to
For
pick
right
Southside
now, yeah.
for right now because Southside's defense is really good. I really like their defense.
Mhm.
Um, But yeah. So that's I will go over that briefly. But
Yeah.
Joe Sumner and Franklinton. That's a game that I know you're going to be covering.
Yep. Yep.
Don't know if I'll be covering that game. It's in my area, but it's a pretty far drive. It's a lot of people don't
Yeah.
realize as dense as New Orleans is. Once you get to the North Shore, like it's a pretty far drive, and it's also in Tangible Parish. So I might have myself out there with you, Jace, but yeah, still have to see because of my schedule. But this is a big game. Joel Sumner's
Yeah.
undefeated. Franklinton is 3-1, and they're they had a hell of a way to start the season. And they're one of the more improved teams in the New Orleans metro area.
Mhm.
So, Jace, what intrigued you about this matchup?
Yeah, and there were a couple of options I could have picked. Thursday, like I had my Friday game picked out, Grant, but Thursday I was like going over a couple different options. Like, I mean, the game you just talked about, Southside and Barb, was an option for me too. I was actually going really back and forth between those two games, and even though I cover them, Ascension Catholic and Episcopal and Ascension Catholic, for Gridiron, but I decided to go with Franklinton and Jules Sumner just because I love what Coach Salter Maggio is really doing with this program with Franklinton. He's really giving the life back. He's bringing you can tell he's bringing life back into the program. And at one point, Grant, I mean, Franklinton had it going. I mean, when they had the Taylors over there, they had Terrence McGee over there, Josh Robinson, that team that went to the state championship. So it looks like that magic's starting to return to Franklinton, which is always good. And when you bring in a coach like Salter Formaggio that's been successful, he won a state championship at East Jefferson. So he's been successful everywhere he's really been for the most part. And this is a big opportunity. Franklinton went to our media day the last 2 years too, so want to give him some coverage, give him support. Look on the other side, Jules Sumner too. They come in undefeated. Jamon Dyson was of course, he came up with a nickname last year for him, Slice and Dyson last year, and as our player of the week. And he's going to be a special player for them. And they got some really good talent at Jules Sumner, so this is a really good opportunity for Jules Sumner right now. I feel like at the smaller level, when you talk about the 3A level right now for Jules Sumner, this is a huge opportunity for them because even though they're undefeated, I don't think nobody's really talking about them right now. Now, if they can get a win like this over Franklinton, and their one loss came against Covington, this is a big opportunity for really both teams to really show, hey, like we're going to be in the mix, guys, as far as a really big playoff team. So we talk about a huge win for both teams right now at this spot. The last game we talked about when it was Southside and Barb, this is the same type of opportunity for both teams to really establish themselves as a contender and get to start getting talked about from some of these media outlets as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, no doubt, Jace. I mean, this is a big matchup for both teams. I'm gonna have to probably pick Franklinton in this one. I think
Mhm.
Franklinton is playing some really good football. Oh,
Yeah.
Jules Sumner is too, but Franklinton, they played a lot of their teams tough. I mean, Franklinton, their one loss was because the Covenant team that's currently undefeated right now, and it's one of the better teams on the North Shore.
Yeah.
But they beat Amite, they beat Pine. Those are two really big victories, and then they beat the crap out of Fontainebleau 61-13.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of shows you that they're on the up and ups in terms of things. So I'm going to pick Franklinton in a little bit of a closer game.
Yeah.
I think the game would be close, but I think Franklinton is going to come on top.
Yeah, I think Franklinton's a little bit more tested right now, like you said, Grant. That's what I'm going to go with them. And Cy Austin as well. Got to give a shout out to him. He's actually one of our Player of the Week finalists against Fontainebleau. Had 209 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns on just 10 carries for Franklinton last week. So give a shout out to him. And for those Franklinton fans out there that are watching the show, make sure to vote for your boy Cy Austin. So he can get in on that Player of the Week list like Jamon Dyson did last year.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Slice and dice and baby.
Slice and Dyson. Yep.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the next match I want to cover is a team that you're very familiar with. I mean, you're the VSN announcer for Episcopal. Yeah. The Knights will play a very good team in this as a Catholic, of course, with Chad Elzy. Episcopal has Reed Chauvin, of course. So two really good running backs on both sides of the football. In this matchup, who do you like? I mean, I know you've already seen Episcopal a bunch of times.
Yeah.
You've already seen Ascension Catholic a good bit. I mean, just what do you think of this matchup?
Yeah, and Grant, be honest with you, like I like this matchup for Episcopal. The reason why I like this is because this defensive front, this defensive line, they've been used to playing really good running backs already. Even though Chad Elzy is the best running back that they played to this point in the season, Grant, I like Episcopal's defensive front because they've already played against Tayshad Badon from Pearl River. He's a really good running back. They've already played Cameron Casnay from Northlake Christian. He's a really good running back. So, I mean, so far every team that they played has a really pretty good running back. So I like that from that side from Episcopal. And they're going to try to – their defense is always disciplined. They're always flying to the football. They always got 3 or 4 hats on one guy. So they're going to try to copy that game plan that Dunham did as far as like trying to contain Chad Elzy and force Camille LaBeouf to throw the football and say, hey, I mean, Camille's a really good quarterback. Yeah. But say, hey, you beat us just dropping back and throwing all the time. So that is what Episcopal's defense can do. If they can do that, then they have a very veteran secondary. It's just about containing Chad Elzy is going to be the key, which is easier said than done, obviously, with a player like that. But Episcopal can also play ground pound football too. I mean, right now they got the offense rolling as far as the running game is concerned. They found a way to kind of take away, when you lose that production from Braden George, where you're going to find it. And Episcopal found 2 options to replace Braden George, basically, and Nathan Sanchez and David Olin. So they're using those 2 guys plus Reed Chauvin as always your bell cow. And that'll be another way. You know how Episcopal can drive 6-7 minute drives. They can do that and pretty much keep Chad Elzy off the field and make sure. Well, he does play defense too, but he can also be a non-factor defensively when you're running the football as much because he does play cornerback. But even though I can't really comment on a win here because of VSN stuff, it's going to be. I like the matchup for Episcopal. It's just all about containing Chad Elzy, which can be easier said than done.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, this could be a big matchup for both teams. So she can make a pick. I'm gonna make the pick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick Episcopal. I think they're just right now they're rolling with their offense. However, I do think it'll be a close game, and really the difference will be whether or not. I think the difference will be Zach Hugh. I think Zach Hugh needs to have I feel like that they're going to shift the run game early, so you have to figure out a way to win other than running the ball. And I think putting the ball into Zach Hugh's hands and trying to make something of the pass game will be huge for this night team because I think Ascension Catholic's going to hold down this rushing attack for a pretty long time. So, you're going to have to trust Zach Hugh. He's in the second year as a starter. he's already been battle tested. So
Mhm.
you need to try to trust him in this game because I think Ascension Catholic's defense is just really good too, man. Like
Mhm.
they're really good. They got a lot of talent.
It's gonna
They're
come.
they're
Yeah,
good. They're big up front, So
yeah, yeah. Like you mentioned, Grant, it's going to come down to what quarterback steps up the most because both teams have really good running backs. Episcopal has Reed Chauvin. Ascension Catholic's got Chad Elsie. Both defenses are going to key on those guys. So you're going to have to. It's going to come down to whoever quarterback steps up the most and plays the best. And also, if you're Zach Q, you don't have to try to play hero ball. You don't have to try to throw it 50, 60 yards downfield. What worked, Grant, the last time that Zach Q needed to step up was the North Lake Christian game. And what they did was the short passing attack, and that's kind of like an extension of the run to get guys like Nathan Sanchez, Chauvin out in open space. So as long as you can hit those passes underneath, that can set up, the running game even more. So he's just got to be pinpointing hitting those passes, and Zach Q can do that. Then they got a pretty good shot. That's going to be the key there.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's a pretty good Thursday slate. I mean, of course, also got Found Blue in, and there's
Yeah,
a couple other games as well. Byrd Parkway as
yeah,
another big time game
that's
that we haven't
huge.
talked about.
Mhm.
Jason, you want to actually are they all? Oh wow, there's a lot of Thursday games because there's
Yeah,
some games where I thought were gonna be on Friday. They're actually Thursday.
yeah,
Actually, let's talk about because this is a game that actually I was going to talk about. I didn't realize it was coming on Thursday. Let's go ahead and break this game down. Homer at Union Parish, Chase.
yeah.
I mean, Union Parish is off to a not the best start, 1-3, but they always schedule really tough teams. As
Mhm.
because if you're one of the top teams in Louisiana, you're going to have to schedule teams that are like, like 5A.
Right.
Especially if you're a 3 school, you gotta have to schedule teams that are 5A or 4A, and they're 1-3. But they played all the teams that they played tough. Homer, of course, the only loss was to a very Haynesville team that a lot of people think is going to go back to not only go back to the but win the state championship for the first time, I believe, in a little over 10 years. Jace, break this game down.
Yeah, actually, Grant, I think both teams are off to a rough start. I think both teams are 1-3 right
Oh,
now.
really? Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah. So Homer was actually able to get their first win last week against North Webster because they started off the season. Now it's kind of the same thing as what you and
Oh, wow.
Pierce is
Yeah,
going
you're right.
through.
Yeah, that's I'm
Yeah,
surprised by that.
yeah,
Damn.
but in the same similar way though, like they started their season against tougher 5A bigger programs too, because try and get them ready for state championship level at their own level. So I mean, they played Minden, I believe. They played Houghton, and then there's also the rivalry game, like you mentioned, Haynesville, which is played much earlier at this point, just because they're not in the same district anymore, and that was the reason why it's been so early. But yeah, this is really for Coach Casey, Coach Spatafora. They're going to find out, okay, which team benefited the most, even though you suffered losses to these teams, which team benefited the most from those early games, playing those big time opponents. That like both Spatafora and Casey are going to figure out, okay, which one of our teams have actually learned from playing those bigger teams against each other, because this is a really good matchup between each other. Homer's always been big. He's got really good athletes. You know what you and Parish is going to want to do. They want to play. I mean, they want to just play ground and pound football, and you try to stop us. Like we're going to play bully football. That's why I've always compared it with you and Parish. They like to play bully football. They want to bully you, and that's what they're going to try to do. And this is a big opportunity for both teams. Obviously, you don't want to start the season 1-4. So like this is an opportunity to get the get right game, get back right, and like whoever wins this game is going to feel much better about themselves at 2-3, because 2-3 sounds a lot more a lot better than going 1-4. So this is a huge game for both teams. But I like here, Grant. I like Union Parish. I expect Union Parish to bounce back. It's been a rough slate for them early, but they played some really tough teams. I think they want to learn from it. Coach Spatafora is as tough as he comes. He knows he's going to get those kids tough. They're state champions as well last year, so a little bit of a target as well. I'm gonna be in a state champion. That's just what naturally comes with it. But I expect Union Parish to come back, and there's an opportunity for Homer down the road to get back to where they want to be. But for me, Grant, I'm gonna go with the Farmers and go with Union Parish to get that bounce back win and try to improve to 2-3.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Union Parish has got this game. I think I think that even though they're 1-3, I mean, like you said, they played a lot of tough games, including a homer as well. But I'm gonna have to pick Union Parish because once you get to week 5, that's when you start to see the Farmers really start to play football.
Yep.
So I'm gonna pick the Farmers on this one, and a pretty tight game.
Yep.
Up there in northeast Louisiana.
Yep.
Another game because I didn't realize this game was this week, and not only that, I didn't realize this game was on Thursday. Byrd at Parkway.
Yeah.
Well, let me make sure that's in the right order. Yeah, Parkway at Byrd actually. But Parkway 4-0. Average, they've every single game. One of their games they've averaged. They've scored over 40 points, and they have not allowed no more than 12 points defensively. So pretty strong start for the Panthers. Byrd all undefeated as well, 4-0.
Yeah.
They've had a pretty short start of the season. And we had on Joel Rogers, a 318 Sports, and one of the teams that said that was a huge sleeper in this district. And District 1 5A was Byrd, and they've shown that. They're 4-0. They've had 3 of their first 4 games have been on the road, and they've won all of those by double digits, including going to Santa Monica, which is a very tough place, as you know. Shut down that high-powered offense, and then last week, of course, they beat John Ehret here in the New Orleans area. I mean, Jace, battle undefeated. Who you got?
Yeah, you mentioned it. Battle of undefeated. This is a matchup not a lot of people are talking about. I guess except if you're living the 318, up in Shreveport. But this is undefeated. What you can say, this is a huge game on Thursday. Probably you can say this is the top Thursday game across the entire state. When we talk about just the matchup being 2 undefeated teams. I mean, Bird's had a great start to the season. They've had a guy that's been a Gridiron Football Player of the Week nominee the last couple of weeks, Desmond Simmons. He's been a tough runner for them, running the football. And, this is going to be a tough football team. Parkway with Coach Brotherton, they want to play tough and play really physical defense. And they actually kind of stymied with Byrd last year too, and their option offense because they want to run a triple option. They want to like those military academies. They want to make sure to stress every level of the defense and put a lot of stress on the defense to make decisions. So this is going to be a classic game. And Parkway is Coach Brotherton. He's one of the most underrated coaches out there. I do believe that. I mean, that whole Brotherton tree with him and his brother Jason. His dad was he was honored as the Parkway field was named after him too. So there's a lot of history over there. This is a huge game, Grant. And like you said, Byrd has had a really tough start to the season. He's got some impressive wins, like you mentioned. Everybody's talking about Evangel Christian, with their quarterback with Pop Houston, who just got offered by LSU. They beat them 35-23. You saw how tough it is, Grant, to win at the pit at Sandmall, and how tough it was for JFK to win over there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, Byrd handled business like it was nothing against Sandmall. So I like this Byrd football team. I really do. They're going to be really dangerous, in my opinion. I think Parkway's a good football team too, but I like the Yellow Jackets here, basically how they've been playing and some of the teams that they've been playing. I know that Parkway's a really good defense, and they got some talented players that can play at the next level in college football. Has got some talent over there too. So this is going to be a really big game. I like Bird's rushing attack, and there's a little bit of revenge on their mind too, considering Parkway got them on last year. So give me the Yellow Jackets here, and I like what Coach Ballou's doing with his team as well. So give me CE Byrd to get the win and continue that undefeated season.
Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm gonna pick Parkway. I really like how they've been playing offensively. Averaging 40 points a game. I mean, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
4 straight weeks in the season. I really like Kamara Maya is
Yeah.
a hell of a running back. We talk
Yeah.
about a lot of these running backs around the state. Kamara Mayo is one of them. They got a lot of talented
Yep.
players over there at Parkway. I think it'll be a close game, but I think this is the first time we'll see Byrd. Well, they did play Evangel. All right. I mean,
Yep.
Evangel has a high-powered offense, but I think Parkway's is just a better just because of experience because of their experience. And then also, I just think that you know I think this is a very good Parkway team. I mean, they've shown it. I think they'll prove to 5-0. And this, it'll be a close game, but I think
Yeah, I'll go
Parkway
either
pulls it
way.
out
Yeah.
because I think just offensively they're just a little bit better, and I think defensively, like I said, they've allowed 12 points or less in each of their last 4 games. So when you have that balance, I'm going to lean towards that direction. But the next matchup I want to talk about, we're done with the Thursday slate. The next matchup I want to talk about is a game that's actually happened on Saturday, and that's St. Aug and Carr. St. Aug's off to a hot start. Their only loss of the season was against the number 1 team from the state of Missouri and Cardinal Ritter. Their offense has been phenomenal. Tate Kalon's been throwing the rock around the field, and he has 2 really good receivers, Miguel Whitley and then Raekwon Williams. But then defensively, even though they lose what's his name? I'm sorry, I'm just morning, bro. We're recording this in the morning. Jakeem Stewart.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, it's the morning, man. Like, I need
Yeah.
my coffee.
Yeah.
But even though they lose Jakeem Stewart, I mean, it's defensively, they're still very strong. That defensive approach is still strong, even without a guy like Jakeem Stewart. Carr, we all know about Carr. Town all the field. You got to start with the receiver position with Ollie Mitchell, and of course, Manchild Francis.
Yep.
Defensively, I mean, they have the best front 7, in my opinion, in the whole entire state. Aiden Hall in the defensive backfield.
Yeah.
And
There's
Jace.
not many weaknesses. There's not many weaknesses with this team.
Jace, who you got, man?
Yeah, well, we were talking about this, and what a win, by the way, by St. Aug last week. I mean, that to me, Grant, that is like their stamp in the Catholic League. Like, okay, we're here. Like that. This is Robert Valdez saying we're going to be in it. We're going to be in it for sure. But they're just not there yet to the throne car. I mean, Carr is just rolling right now. Like you said, Grant, there's no major weaknesses, there's no major flaws with this Carr team. And we've seen a little bit of everything, right? It's not like we saw from Ole Miss, right, Grant? They haven't had any adversity or anything like that, and they just cruise into everybody. Last week they were down 20-0 against Holy Cross, and it's like, okay, here's an opportunity for Carr to really show what they are. Do they fold here or do they come back and win this? And they come back and win. So that alone also tells me that this Car team is not only talented as they're loaded at every position, they don't have a weakness. And when there's adversity coming their way, they are calm enough and they have the state championship mindset to come back when things aren't going their way. So right now, it's just tough. I mean, it's tough going against how hot Bryce Brown and this Car football team is playing right now. As good as St. Aug is playing right now, they're playing at an extremely high level right now, and this should be a whale of a football game. And Daryl Felker will be covering for us for Gridiron this Saturday, so we're excited about that. But this is going to be a whale of a football game, Grant. To me, I think the Car's going to win this game. The thing is, how does St. Aug compete with Carr? If they can go to Carr and fight them down to the wire, in this game from a full 4 quarters, this will tell me, okay, maybe we should talk about St. Aug being that second team with Rummel. I mean, this is what's going to be. That's what's on the line for me right now because we talk about the tiers in the Catholic League right now, and the Car is the top team. We talk about Rummel emerging as the second team. Who is that third team right now? For me, right now, it's St. Aug. But if they can play with Carr right down to the wire and make this a classic of a football game, maybe we should talk about them being that number 2 team with Rummel right now. So it's a lot on the line here, but I just can't go against them in the Car with how hot they've been playing right now.
Yeah, no doubt, Jace. I mean, I'm gonna pick Carr in this one. I think Carr, as you just said, championship mentality. They've been in these tough games
Yep.
before, and so I think they'll handle it a little bit better than St. Aug at the moment. But St.
Right.
Aug, as the season goes on, they'll handle these type of moments a lot better,
Mhm.
especially when you have a coach like Robert Valdez. However, I would not be shocked if St. Aug won this game as well.
Mhm.
They're made up in a lot of similar ways to Carr in terms of their way they play football.
Mhm.
Uh, they have a really good quarterback, really good
Yep.
receivers. I mean, if you look at both teams, they're very similar to each other.
Athletes
So
everywhere on the field, like
yeah, I mean,
D1 athletes everywhere when you look.
yeah, and they're both coached well. But it's
Yep,
also
coach well. Yep.
going to be. I think this game will come down to who will make the most mistakes. If whoever makes the most mistakes
Mhm.
will end up losing this game. And I think that right now, Carr's a little bit more disciplined to be in this moment
Mhm.
than St. Aug is, but St. Aug's time will come very shortly. I don't think it's going to
Yeah.
take very long for
Mhm.
this St. Aug team to look like what it will look like in the future under
Mhm.
a head coach like Robert Valdez, who has literally won at every single place he's been at.
Oh, yeah.
Led two
Absolutely.
different programs to a led two different programs to a state championship game, and won a state championship with St. James in
Mhm.
2019. Uh,
Yep.
but moving on, the next game I want to cover, of course, is the game itself and the 104th annual meeting
Amazing.
between Jesuit and Holy Cross. Holy
Mhm.
Cross, not the best start of the season they wanted to, 1-3, including a very tough loss to Chalmette, where they literally
Yeah.
lost on the 70-yard fumble
Fumble.
recovery. Then not on defensively, but the offense for Chalmette. One of the receivers picked up and ran 70 yards for the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last week, they go up 20-0 over in a car, only for the Cougars to score 45 unanswered points. Jesuit, on the other hand, 3-1. Their only loss is to a Dallas Jesuit team that is one of the better programs in the Dallas area in Texas. But after that, they've won three straight games, including a huge 17-5 victory over Brother Martin. I mean, Jace, what do you have to say about this matchup? I mean, Jesuit's probably going to be the favorite. I'm picking Jesuit in
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
But you think Holy Cross could pull off the upset bid?
Grant, this has been a rivalry that's been going back forever. Like we talk so much about the Haynesville and Homer rivalry. It's not as old as that one, but it's up there. It's an old rivalry for sure. And like rivalries are weird. Like you just kind of like you throw out the win loss records and just see what happens on the football field because anything can happen when you throw these two teams together because it's a rivalry game and weird things happen. But right now, you just gotta say who's the hot team, and right now it's Jesuit. I mean, Jesuit getting that 17-5 win last week over Brother Martin. How they were able to win that game, considering how dangerous and electric Brother Martin's offense is. We saw it against St. Paul's of how electric they can be. The receivers, Eastern Royal. Talk about the quarterback Zeph Asset as well. Like he's a talented signal caller, and for Jesuit just to shut them down and only hold them to 5 points is really good. Like Grant, we saw them in the jamboree against Nate Shepard and Mandeville, and I thought defense. There was some. I was pretty encouraged from what I saw with Jesuit, especially defensively. So they got a really strong defense. A lot of young guys on that defensive side of the football, but a lot of young star talent on that defensive side of the football. So this is a really good bounce back year so far for Coach Manali and the Jesuit Blue Jays. Obviously, he came here from De La Salle. He started off with a bang at Jesuit. He led the Blue Jays all the way to the state championship game where they lost to Catholic High. And the last couple of years have not been the best, but this is a big year for them. And so far, they've done a great job. This is one. I mean, Coach Manali has done some excellent coaching jobs at
Yeah.
De La Salle, but this may be on the top of the list because right now coming in with a quarterback situation where there are like 4 or 5 guys. He was trying to figure out who would be the starting quarterback and just rely on the defense and just kind of help out the quarterback. It's they're playing really good football right now and coming off a couple of wins. You saw how on the other side, Holy Cross is a little bit of an opposite because of what they did the last couple of years and especially last year when the Catholic League being number one seed in the playoffs, the year they had last year, the magical run, and a lot of people were expecting them to continue that. And it's been a little bit of a slow start to the season for them. So yeah, I mean, it's a weird game. Like Holy Cross can win this game because they've proven the last couple of years to do so in this rivalry. But and look, they were being in the car 20-0. So like
Yeah.
if you can play that well against a team like that, you can be Jesuit just basically how you played. But right now, what team is more confident right now? What team's a hotter team right now? On paper, well, you look on paper right now. It's the Jesuit Blue Jays, and also Grant. There's revenge on the mind for the Blue Jays as well. The last couple of years of losing this rivalry, especially for these seniors. So, give me the Jesuit Blue Jays get this win.
Yeah, so Jesuit, I believe, won like 4 or 5 straight games in this rivalry. Then last year, they ended
Yep.
up losing twice, once in the regular season and once in the
Right.
postseason.
Right.
So the seniors definitely like don't
They
want to lose
definitely
a
want
third
to lose.
straight,
Yep.
3 straight to the Holy Cross Tigers. But I got, like I said before, you started talking. I said I got Jesuit in this one just because I think they're just the overwhelming favorites given how they've been playing. This the beautiful game we call football. I think I'm going to pick them over the Holy Cross Tigers, who dealt with some issues at the beginning of the year. But moving on to another game that's actually in the New Orleans area. Speaking of Brother Martin, they will be hosting Archbishop Rummel at Joe Yeti Stadium. Usually it'll be at Tag Gormley Stadium, but because the Jesuit Holy Cross games
Mhm.
at Tag Gormley, they had to move the game to Joe Yeti, which is where Rummel plays their home game. So basically, I guess you could say it's a home game for Rummel. Not really, but it is because that's
Yeah.
usually where they play.
I guess it's like
Um,
if the Giants and Jets played each other, like
yeah, yeah,
who would be the home team?
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, of course, Archbishop Rummel, we know the score 4-0. Strong, led by the strong Russian attack by Norm Taylor and Coron Hawkins.
Mhm. Yeah.
Brother Martin passing attack, different stuff. Brother Martin has his passing attack, led by Seth Dezet, and of course, he got a lot of talented receivers, including sophomore sensation Easton Royal,
Yeah.
who's had a great start to the year. I mean, Jace, do you think Romo improves to 5-0, or you think Brother Martin gets his bounce back victory over the Raiders?
Yeah, it's right now, Grant, until I see otherwise. I keep rolling with the Raiders right now. Just how good they've been playing. And like you said, right now, Grant, they probably have the best 1-2 punch at running back in the state right now, just how they've been
Mhm.
rolling with Taylor and Hawkins and seeing them in person too. Against U
Yeah.
High really impressed me as well. How they play defense, man. They're just like
Mhm.
they don't miss tackles. Like they are well disciplined on defense. You know that. And then Gennaro Buglich, their quarterback, he's the right piece for them to be the quarterback to lead his team. So I mean, right now we've taught their praises, but I think this is going to be a bounce back game for Brother Martin. Like they're going to play really well. In fact, it might not look like it because it might come in a loss, but it might be a similar situation like LCA earlier this year. You know, putting up a really good fight against Rummel, and despite, I mean, LCA right now, that's probably the most impressive performance this year was a loss to Rummel. But it's gonna be, I think it'll be the same thing here. Like I think it's gonna be a higher scoring game. It could be, but I'm on because with the offensive weapons they've had, and they know after a game like that against Jesuit, you know the offense wants to get back on track after not having the game that they wanted last week. I expect them to bounce back that side of the football to bounce back, but Rummel, they've shown you already they can win all kinds of types of different ways with being a shootout or being a low scoring game. They can play right now whatever game you want them to play. So right now, until I see otherwise, I got to roll with the Raiders.
Yeah, me too. I like really like how Romo's playing football right now. Defensively, they're strong as ever. I think the defense would be a huge part in this victory. I mean, I think that that Jesuit loss for Brother Martin really kind of exposed a lot about Brother Martin's offense that I really didn't know about before. I mean, really, because the last 3 games, of course, they've played well offensively,
Yeah.
but I think
Yep.
they right now they need a rushing attack.
Hmm.
Hopefully they get Sydney back, the running back,
Yeah.
uh, for this upcoming game. Sydney Harris
Sydney
for this
Harris.
upcoming
Yeah.
game. But right now, I think just even with the Russian attack, I think Rummel's defense is just too strong for this Brother Martin team. However, their pass attack's deadly. So if their passing attack comes back in full force against this Rummel team, it might be a little bit tough for Rummel to stop because the last time they played an offense kind of like this, they allowed 35 points to LCA. So if they could stop the pass defense, they'll win this game, right? Because I think they can't right now. Brother Martin is having issues running the ball and then also having to replace 4 of the 5 starters from the year before.
Yeah, they would rather win ugly than winning a shootout. I know that for a fact. They would rather win ugly than winning a shootout.
Yeah. All right, Jace. Moving on to another game. This time in the River Parishes. We got 2 undefeated teams: Vanderbilt Catholic and Lutcher. Of course, Vanderbilt Catholic's led by Jalen Coleman, who's the school's all-time leading rusher. He's a 4-year starter now. They also have a pretty good offensive line, experienced quarterback, and a solid defense as well. And they're also led by a new head coach, Brian Wallace, who comes over. He was the special teams coordinator over there at Nichols. Now he's the head coach at Vanderbilt Catholic. And then on the other side, you got Lutcher, which they'll be traveling to. Lutcher, of course, has always been one of the top programs in the state. 8 state championships. This year, they bring back a lot of players, including 10 of their returning starters on offense. Of course, they're led by another great running back, Trent Cheney, who is a UL commit. And then defensively, they're strong, where they are led by Rashad Sterling. Jace, who you got?
Yeah, you picked a good game, Grant, with Vanderbilt Catholic and Lutcher. That's going to be a really good football game. And, with these games, you have great rushing attacks like Jalen Coleman, Trent Cheney. Those are 2 of those running backs that, like we were talking about all year long. What I've been praising about all year long is about how deep these running backs are. Like you get Trent Cheney and Jalen Coleman any other year, they'll be at the top of the list. But it's just what kind of year it's really been in Louisiana. But when these games, I kind of lean on the defense a little bit more. And just because you said it, I really like Lutcher's defense. You talk about the Houston commit, Rashad Sterling leads the way. They were a defensive team last year. That's what really carried them last year after trying to replace a quarterback as good as escapes my head right now. Dewanye Winfield. That's right. Dewanye Winfield. So, with Lutcher, I really like how they're playing football. Now they lost that, they didn't play that game against St. Charles Catholic because of the hurricane, but they're still 3-0. Their defense has been rock solid. I think they're more of the overall better team per se. Vanderbilt Catholic's got Jalen Coleman right now, but I think that Lutcher has the pieces. Well, obviously, we got Rashad Sterling and guys like that to not basically shut him down because he's a great running back and you can go only as much as shut him down, but limit his production to where they can win this football game. So, and right now, Lutcher with Dwayne Jenkins and them winning a state championship a couple years ago, I think they're more. And Brian Wallace is doing a great job at Vanderbilt Catholic, replacing Tommy Minton, who was really a coaching legend here in Louisiana. But he has done a great job. But right now, I'm going to go with the more veteran program right now. And I'm going to go with the Lutcher Bulldogs.
Yeah, no doubt, Jace. I'm probably going to have to go with Lutcher too, but it's going to be a very close one.
Yeah.
Of course, this is a game that is a very important game in that region. Of course, in the River Parishes, as this game will basically put the winner the winner of this game will be in the driver's seat for District 8-4A.
Absolutely.
Because both teams still have to play Edie White, which will be another kind of a game where determine the district title. But whoever wins this one will be in the driver's seat. As if you win against, let's say Lutcher beats Vanderbilt Catholic or vice versa. All they have to do is beat Edie White, and they basically got that in the bag. Because you beat the only 2 teams that could take that title away from you. So but I'm going to pick Lutcher in a very close one. The keys will be whether or not, of course, as you just mentioned, whether or not Lutcher could shut down Jalen Coleman. They also have a pretty good running back as well.
Yeah.
We're back. I forgot. I know he went to your Gridiron football camp.
Yeah, he did. He did.
What the name of that guy was?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up for a second because I
Yeah,
know we
because
have
I just his name escaping me. I actually had it down, wrote it down somewhere, but he's a really good running back as well. But that Vanderbilt Catholic offensive line is pretty big as well. They got a dude who's 6'7" over there, Silas Hill, who's
Cole
about
St. Pierre.
yep, that's what his
Yep.
name is. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and they also
Yeah.
have a left tackle by the name of Silas Hill, who is a very good player, very good offensive lineman for the team. 6'7". He's going to stand out when you see him on the football field. But if I think the kid will be on the trenches really.
Yeah.
Whichever team controls the trenches wins the game.
Absolutely.
And I think Lutcher might have the edge because of their experience. But moving on to another game, this time we're going back up to the Tangipahoa Parish region. Kentwood at Amite, two of the biggest state powers in the state. Kentwood, 9 state championships. Amite, I believe they won about 5 or 6 state championships. Jace, big time game in Tangipahoa Parish. Who you got?
Yeah, that's a huge rivalry there. I know we'll have one of our guys covering that game too. I believe that's Tyler. I think Tyler's covering that game for us. Can win an Amy. That's always a big rivalry. Anytime we get these two teams together, and usually it's for power rankings. Obviously, both these two teams have competed for state championships. Have won state championships. Both teams have produced plenty of great players already in the NFL. I mean, you look at Amy. I mean, Devonta Smith. I mean, what can you say about that, right? Heisman Trophy winner, Alabama, and what he's doing, and with the Philadelphia Eagles, Trey Palmer for Kentwood as well. He's doing this thing in the NFL. So they've always produced a lot of really good talent here. Same thing goes with both these two teams. I think Kentwood comes in, I think 3-1 on the year, and I think Amy, they started off the season 0-2, but they've bounced back and they've won their last 2 games. So, I mean, it's one of those things too. You throw out the records out. I mean, both these two teams are close to each other. It's going to be a really good, fun football game. I think right now, I mean, Kentwood, they did come off a narrow win against Laranger as well. I think 35-34 was the score of that one. I got a chance to see Amy in the spring, and their passing attack was pretty good in that one. So it's going to come. It's always comes down to the wire. I covered this game last year too, and it did come down to like a goal line stand, pretty much a controversial call. Obviously, when we get two of these teams against each other, but I'm gonna give the slight edge. It's gonna be it's a coin flip, Grant. It really is when you get these two teams together. But I'm gonna go with the slight edge to Amy. I think Amy
Hmm.
is going to be able to get this win. I know the first 2 games they've lost, but they played some really tough teams to start the season. I mean, Hammond has had some pretty good wins as a 5A program, and Coach Buckle's done a good job over there. So they've won their last 2. They're building some momentum. I think this is going to be a good turning point for them to get a win. I can easily see this going the other direction too, going Kentwood's way. But Kentwood also has a new head coach too. He's been the OC for the program the last couple of years, and Coach Blunt. But Coach Powell's been there for a long time, and and I think that experience is going to help them here in this game too. So I'm going to go with the Warriors to get a win over the Kangaroos, but it's a coin flip, Grant. I could easily see this going the other way.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Amy in this game as well. I think Amy, I just Kenwood's very good too. Kenwood, I
Hmm.
mean, I know they got some speed coming back as
Yeah.
well. Um, but I think I'm gonna pick Amy in this game. Amy, I know they've had tough start this season, 2-2. But I think Amy's gonna pull it off just because I think they're a little bit
Hmm.
bigger. They have a little bit more numbers.
Yeah.
They Kenwood. I mean, Kenwood's a bona fide 1A school. They're a very good 1A school. Matter of fact, I think they're always a competitor to play in the dome year in and year out. Just look at the program's history. Same thing with Amy. But I think this will be the signature win for Amy moving forward because if they win this game, they're in a very good spot right now as a team when you start getting the heat of the district schedule, and then also when you get to the playoffs as well.
Right. And there's a guy too, before we move on. They have a big offensive lineman too on their
Yes,
left tackle.
Jalen.
Yeah, like he's going probably, and like I talked to Coach Powell before the season, and he says he is the next big SEC, big Power One, Power Five, Power Four, Division One guy, their left tackle, and he's only going to, I think he's only going to like his sophomore
Sophomore,
year.
yeah, sick, yeah,
Yeah,
Jalen Haywood,
yeah, Jalen
6'7",
Haywood.
377 pounds.
Yeah, I saw him in the spring. Whew, man, he's gonna be
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
I think he's gonna have to lose a little bit of that weight, but
Yeah, he does. But the frame already, you can't
oh
coach
yeah,
that frame and you can't
yeah,
coach
yeah,
that size.
oh yeah,
So
exactly. Like he's gonna cut. I know he's definitely gonna cut some weight.
yeah.
Because like all all he's got to do is get to about 330, 340, and then he'll be fine. Like I
Yep.
mean, he's already has the frame.
Oh yeah, it's
He
ridiculous.
just needs to lose a little bit, lose a little bit, but
Yeah.
because once he loses 30, 40 pounds, not only will have a big frame, but it'll be a lot easier for him to move and
Move around, yeah.
especially when you have to go against defensive ends who run like 4.5,
Yeah,
4.6
athletic.
40s,
Yeah,
so
right.
but anyway,
Exactly.
moving on to another game. This time we're gonna go back to the River Parishes. Vermilion Catholic at Riverside
Yep.
Academy, a rematch of last year's semifinal game where
Yeah.
Riverside actually beat Vermilion Catholic in the rain on the road, 34-7, and the Rebels were able to go to the state championship where they ultimately lost against Southern Lab. But Vermilion Catholic is undefeated. Riverside, of course, their only loss was to Terrebonne, a 5A opponent. Jace, who you got in this game? Does Vermilion Catholic get the revenge, or does Riverside get the best of the Screaming Eagles once again?
Well, all I gotta say is, Grant, get your popcorn ready, sit down, kick back, and watch this football game. And actually, Alex for us is going to be going over there covering that game, so that's where he's going to be going this week, and he picked a good one. If you like offense, you like points, this is your game. Jonathan D'Artes with Vermilion Catholic he's just one of the best high school players, just high school players I've seen in the last couple of years. He's just a winner for that program at Vermilion Catholic, and he reminds me a whole lot of like a Johnny Manziel type. The way he plays, the style he plays as a runner, as a passer, and not the biggest guy. I mean, he's probably about 5'9", something like that, but he's just fun to watch, and Brock Prejean's always has some really good quarterback play. He does a great job of like whoever's been the quarterback for Vermilion Catholic suiting the offense around their skill sets. Whether they had pocket passers, he's done that. Where they've had dual threat guys like Jonathan D'Artes, he's done that. So that's why they've been so good year in, year out with Coach Prejean the last couple of years, is because of him, his ability to adjust with the offense, with the skill set he has at the quarterback position. And then when you look at Riverside, Dedrick Lassie, he's one of the most fun players to watch I've ever seen play at the high school level. I mean, he's like, think of Deuce Vaughn, think of Darren Sproles. That's what you get in Dedrick Lassie. Not the biggest guy. He's probably 5'5", if that, 5'4", 5'5". But he's just so fun to watch. And the defenses can't find him because he's so small. But he's so quick. He's elusive, and he has great vision. He's so fun to watch, man. Like, it's going to be a high scoring game. It's going to come down to probably whichever team has the ball last in this football game. And where's the game being held at, Grant?
Riverside.
Is that Riverside?
It's gonna be a Laplace, yeah.
Okay. With that being said, oh man, it's gonna be tough because I know Riverside won last year. Um, I'm gonna give the edge to the home team. I'm gonna give it to Riverside, and I think I like them more as the team too. When they got Kendrick Johnson throw the football too as well, who's only going to his ninth grade year, which is ridiculous. He was an eighth grader last year, was a star last year for Riverside. So I'm on lean towards the Rebels. Now they got a big matchup next week too when we talk about St. Martin's, but this can go either way. Both teams have won a whole lot at this level. They've rarely lost. So, but since I'm on, the reason I asked where it was at is I think that's going to play a difference too, with who the home team is. But I'm going to go with the Rebels here. But it should be a fun game between two teams that can score a lot of points. And I know Vermilion Catholic has won some revenge too from last year, but I'm going to go with the Rebels here in a slight edge.
Yeah, no doubt. I think the Rebels are going to pull off the victory once again. I think it's just really tough to stop District Lasty, but they also have a lot of other players as well,
Yeah.
including Boogie Johnson.
Yep.
Of course, their quarterback Brock Bourgeois comes back as well.
He's
I mean,
back. Yep.
they got a lot of players coming back. I think Riverside will win once again. I think John Dartes will get do John Dartes things, but I think
Yeah.
Riverside pulls off a close one in a very exciting game. The next game I want to talk about, St. Paul's U High, a game that you will be going to.
I'll be there. Yep.
Yeah, St. Paul's 3-1, pick up a huge victory over JFK. U High still they've seemed like they become a lot better team since their upset victory over Catholic a couple weeks back. Jace, who you got?
Yeah, I'm very intrigued by this one. We have really good relationships with both quarterbacks, with Emil and Brendan Kime, Emil Picarell and Brendan Kime here. Now, this is a interesting spot for St. Paul's, right? They needed a win last week against JFK, and they got it. Especially because they were coming off a heartbreaking loss to Brother Martin. They won the game against De La Salle after that, but it wasn't convincing. And then you go and you play JFK, and you find a way to win that football game. And which is crazy. Talked with Alex, by the way, about the game, and it was 22-16 last week, Grant, and they sent their kicker out there to attempt a 58-yard field goal, and he got it. And it's just insane that how they won that game last week. But now you have to go on the road to play a U High team that's found its stride ever since the Catholic win. So when U High finds their stride, watch out. And right now, U High has found their stride. So sorry, St. Paul's. It's going to be tough, but it's just they may play well, and I'm expecting them to play well. But right now, the way U High is playing, getting that win over Catholic, once they find their stride, they found it. It's going to be tough to beat them, and I'm going to go with the Cubs here at home. Expect them to continue what they built with the Catholic win moving forward. This team has, a killer mindset right now. Like, hey, like this is our senior year. Emil Picarello's senior year. Keelan Moses' senior year. They know what the season ended for them the last 2 years, and now you can see. We just talked to Mill last week. You can see how focused they are on the prize this year. So I don't expect anything different here. I'm going to go with the Cubs. But it should be a good football game because St. Paul's is a good football team. If Brendan Kime, he's a talented thrower of the football. He is a talented quarterback. As long as he limits the turnovers, the interceptions, they can be in this football game. But I'm going to go with the Cubs here at home.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to have to go with the Cubs as well. Playing hot. I just think that right now, when the Cubs get hot, they're hot. So
yeah.
I'm going to have to go with the U High Cubs in this one. Jason, next thing I'm going to cover is St. Edmund and Opelousas Catholic.
Yeah.
You're very familiar about both teams. Of course, St. Edmund's led by Coach Shiver. Quarterback Kane West throwing the rock off the field.
Yeah.
They're scoring points, bullying teams just by throwing the rock. I believe they won a game against West Jeff 60-13. So they're killing it. Opelousas Catholic. Roderick Zeno is a really good player as well. They're undefeated. Jace, who you got? I'm gonna be right back in the 11 dog out. Like, once again,
you're good.
He's old.
You're good.
But go ahead. Go off.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, this game is always going to be a really good one. You get St. Edmunds, you get Opelousas Catholic, and these two teams that are scoring a lot of points. This is a team that has scored a lot of points. Look at St. Edmunds. This year, they don't have Kevon Johnson. That was their star running back the last couple of years. But what have they been doing that's allowed them to be electrifying on the offense is that their ability to throw the football. We haven't really noticed this from St. M in the last couple of years. But look at their offense right now. It's insane. They scored 42 points against Elton. They scored 54 against Thomas Jefferson. They scored 60 against Morgan City. And they scored 47 against North Central. But obviously, this is their biggest task to date when you got Opelousas Catholic also coming in undefeated. And St. Edmund has struggled to defeat Opelousas Catholic. It seems like the last couple of years, Opelousas Catholics really got their number the last couple of years. So this is a huge opportunity for Coach Shiver, for St. Edmund to pull up maybe big time upset here with how they're playing. It's going to be tough because Opelousas Catholic is by far the toughest team that they played at this point in the season, and it's going to be really tough. Right now, look at Opelousas Catholic. They defeated Sacred Heart 42-0. They defeated Iota. Iota's a pretty good football team as well, 20-14. I love how St. Edmund is playing football right now, but I just don't think they're as battle tested as Opelousas Catholic. And right now, in the last couple of years, Opelousas Catholic has had St. Edmund's number. So I guess if Coach Shiver's watching the show, maybe I give him some motivation right here. Could go the other way around, but I'm gonna go with Opelousas Catholic to get the win, just because they're a little bit more battle tested right now. And St. Edmund, I mean, they've looked impressive offensively, but they haven't played a team like Opelousas Catholic yet.
Yeah, I have to go agree with you, Jason. I mean, that's something Mike brought up yesterday in the show. Of course, once again, Mike Koppich came on to the Friday Nights on the Bayou, where we discussed a lot of the top storylines in Lafayette. This matchup is actually one of the matchups that we talked about because, both teams are flying high, both teams are defeated, both teams have excellent offenses, but Opelousas Catholic is a little more battle tested. So give me the Vikings in this game. And the next game I want to talk about, second to last game I want to talk about, is Franklin Parish, Washita Parish. Franklin Parish, undefeated. Of course, they're one of the better stories in this area, given that they beat a Calvary Baptist team that is extremely talented and shocked a lot of people, not only in North Louisiana, but also just across the state in general, given Calvary's Baptist's brand and who they have offensively and defensively. They'll be going to play a Washita Parish team that is probably one of the bigger sleepers in that area. So, Jace, talk a little bit about this game. I'll be right back. I need to let my dog because she's going to start barking, waking up the neighborhood.
Right. No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, like this team, really, you look at Franklin Parish, they were pretty much on everybody's radar when they were able to go and defeat a team like Calvary Baptist. That was their point to the world, like, hey, we're back. Franklin Parish is back. Like nobody's giving us a shot. It was us against the world. Anytime you can defeat a team like Calvary Baptist that's become so good, really the last couple of years. And we were talking about last year they were dominant. They were undefeated. Were being 5A teams. They're looking like the team to beat. And all this offseason, we're talking about how much they're probably even better than last year, considering the guys that not only returned, but the guys they added to to the tally. Right when you get Devin Harper transferring over, who's an LSU commit, and you be a team like that, that tells me that Franklin Parish can beat anybody on any given Friday. And even though Washoe Parish is a really good 5A team, I mean, that proved a lot to me for them to get that win. I know Coach Burnett texted me the other day, and he was like, "Hey, you and Grant need to keep talking about our quarterback, Desiree Ellis,
Yes.
because he is the real deal, and he actually was a guy that really helped them get that win over Calvary Baptist." But when you're on my radar right now, Grant, and right now Franklin Parish is when they showed me that they can beat a team like Calvary, even though they're playing a really good Washoe Parish football team that's got a really good defensive lineman as well that a lot of people have been recruiting. They got some really talented athletes at Washoe Parish. This is going to be a really good football game. But Franklin Parish showed me a lot being that team. So I'm actually, you can say maybe an upset here in a lot of ways, but I'm going to go with Franklin Parish. I mean, for them to be a team like they did in Calvary Baptist.
Yeah, Franklin Parish, they're one of the top teams in the state. Given who they've been, how
Mm-hmm.
and just the talent that they have, I believe they can improve the 5-0 with the win
Yep.
over Washington Parish. But I would say, watch out for Washington Parish.
Mm-hmm.
They're still a very good team. They're
Yep.
still coached well. Dylan Berryman is one of the
That's what I
top.
was thinking about. Yep.
Yeah, he's one
Yep.
of the top. Blah, blah. He's one of the top defensive linemen in the country. He is a guy who's heavily on LSU's radar,
Mm-hmm.
of course. I think he's like the 220th national prospect. Given how much guys are getting recruited, to be in the top, 300 is a pretty big deal. And also he's a quick riser too. I mean, he was a guy I think he was like a 3-star this past, I think he's January, February, and then he rose up to a 4-star,
Mm-hmm.
just because, I mean, he's a great player, and it will come down to whether or not Franklin Parish can win the trenches, but I think Franklin Parish will win this game, in a close one against two really well coached teams and
Yep.
two of the best programs in Northeast Louisiana. Last one, as we wrap everything up. You got to talk about Airline and Captain Street. Airline, this is a rematch of last year's matchup. Last year, Captain Street was able to win this matchup in a very high scoring affair because, of course, it's a high scoring affair.
Of course, it's going to be this year
Yeah,
again.
in this game, last year, Captain Street won this game and they ended up winning the district title. But I believe both teams are undefeated. Well, is Captain Street undefeated?
I believe they are, but
I know Airline is.
I'm gonna double check though, but I believe they are.
I'm gonna double check that as well. Yeah, they lost one game.
They
lost
game.
against Huntington.
Huntington.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that game we covered. Yeah, we talked about. I was thinking they lost one. Yeah, so whoever wins this game is basically in the driver's seat for the district, kind of like I was last year. Because I think whoever wins this game, it will be tough to beat them as the season goes along. But Jace, who you got in this matchup between two well-coached teams? Both have very good offense. Of course, we already know about Airline. Ben Taylor actually threw his 100th career touchdown pass.
He did. Yeah.
So then the last game. So Jace, who you got?
Yeah, how can I forget about that loss? Because Coach Dennis was definitely telling everybody about that with his post-game rant. But yeah, I mean, it's a high-scoring game. It's going to be a high-scoring game again. It's just about, all right, who gets the football last, pretty much, is what's going to come down to. Last year it was against Captain Tree. But I think this year, this Airline team is one of their biggest goals, especially with Ben Taylor and, with the weapons they got offensively, the receivers, the two receivers that they do have throw the football too. Like, I think there's a lot of motivation from this Airline football team to get that revenge and try to get a hold of that district championship, which is something that they want to prove. So there's not many teams. The Captain Street was able to find a way to do that, but there's not a lot of teams that can win a shootout against Airline. And it doesn't happen often where they on the losing end of a shootouts like that. So that being said, I'm gonna go with the Airline Vikings here. I think this is like their big senior year for Coach Scoggins. Done a great job of calling this offense, and it's just how it is. Like, when you get in a shootout with these guys, there's not a great chance that you're going to come away with a win. So that being said, I'm going to go with Airline to get revenge and try and get back in a district championship with a win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you, Jace. I think I'm gonna pick Airline in this one. I think the Vikings are rolling along just fine. Their offense is going to be electric once again in this game. I think it'll be another high scoring affair. However, I think Airline will pull out on top this time to prove to 5-0. And I believe it's the first 5-0 start. I mean, this is probably the first time they've had a 5-0 start in a little while. Yeah. I don't think last year they had. I think they started off the season 4-1, if I remember correctly. I would actually double check that. But Airline, of course, one of the top programs in this state, and they have been for the last 2 years. Last year, they're the number 4. They're number 3 seed, but they ultimately lost to a upstart Mandeville team that we had no idea how good they were going to be. They had their Cinderella run this year. Now they're one of the top contenders for a state title. So I'm going to actually double check this to make sure I said that stat right. Oh no, they did start off the season 5-0 last year. But but they lost against Calvary the week after they had a 5-0
Yeah.
start. So second straight. So if they win this game, it would be their second straight year where they start the season 5-0. So very important game for both teams, as this game will effectively put them in the drive. Well, I won't say the driver's seat. Obviously, Captain Street lost a district game to Huntington, but if Airline wins this game, they'll be in the driver's seat for sure.
They'll be in the mix.
Yeah,
They'll be in the
Captain
mix.
Street, if they win, they'll be in the mix. Both teams will be in the mix regardless of the upset.
Yeah.
The result. So, but big. But I think Airline will get the big win out of this game. But anyway, this is Jace LeJeune of Gridiron Football. I'm Grant Sasher, Crescent City Sports, and Ruger Sports Media. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and also share this video to help us grow our content. And then also make sure to follow Ruger Sports Media on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Same thing with Crescent City Sports, and the same thing with Gridiron Football. Make sure to check out both websites where we produce a lot of different content of high school sport, not only high school sports around the state. High school sports around the state for Crescent City Sports, but high school football around the country for Gridiron Football. With that being said, Grant Sasher, Jace LeJeune. We'll see you guys on Friday night when we'll have the Week 5 nightcap live. And also and you can also comment and leave your comments if you have any questions about what happened that night. Make sure to do that. We had a fun time doing that last time, so keep reading those comments, guys. And thank you so much for watching all of our content. It means a lot. But anyway, peace, y'all.